return by S with a hand sleigh, which is a sort of wheelbarrow, such as porters use, without sides, and instead of a wheel is fixed on wooden runners, which you can drag over the snow and ice with the greatest ease, if ever so heavily laden. S insisted that he would draw me home over the ice like a Lapland lady on a sledge. I was soon seated in state, and in another minute felt myself impelled forward with a velocity that nearly took away my breath. By the time we reached the shore I was in a glow from head to foot. You would be pleased with the situation of our house. The spot chosen is the summit of a fine sloping bank above the lake, distant from the water's edge some 100 or 2 yards. The lake is not quite a mile from shore to shore. To the south again we command a different view, which will be extremely pretty when fully opened, a fine smooth basin of water, diversified with beautiful islands that rise like verdant groves from its bosom. Below these there is a fall of some feet, where the waters of the lake, confined within a narrow channel between the beds of limestone, rush along with great impetuosity, foaming and dashing up the spray in mimic clouds. During the summer the waters are much lower, and we can walk for some way along the flat shores, which are composed of different strata of limestone, full of fossil remains, evidently of very recent formation. Those shells and river insects that are scattered loose over the surface of the limestone, left by the recession of the waters, are similar to the shells and insects incrusted in the body of the limestone. I am told that the bed of one of the lakes above us, I forget which, is of limestone, that it abounds in a variety of beautiful river shells, which are deposited in vast quantities in the different strata, and also in the blocks of limestone scattered along the shores. These shells are also found in great profusion in the soil of the beaver meadows. When I see these things and hear of them, I regret I know nothing of geology or conchology, as I might then be able to account for many circumstances that at present only excite my curiosity. Just below the waterfall I was mentioning there is a curious natural arch in the limestone rock, which at this place rises to a height of 10 or 15 feet like a wall. It is composed of large plates of grey limestone, lying one upon the other. The arch seems like a rent in the wall, but worn away and hollowed, possibly by the action of water rushing through it at some high flood. Trees grow on the top of this rock. Hemlock firs and cedars are waving on this elevated spot above the turbulent waters, and clothing the stone barrier with a sad but never fading verdure. Here, too, the wild vine, the red creeper, and poison elder luxuriate and wreathe fantastic bowers above the moss covered masses of the stone. A sudden turn in this bank brought us to a broad, perfectly flat and smooth bed of the same stone, occupying a space of full 50 feet along the shore. Between the fissures of this bed I found some rose bushes, and a variety of flowers that had sprung up during the spring and summer, when it was left dry and free from the action of water. This place will shortly be appropriated for the building of a saw and grist mill, which, I fear, will interfere with its natural beauty. I dare say I shall be the only person in the neighbourhood who will regret the erection of so useful and valuable an acquisition to this portion of the township. The first time you send a parcel or box do not forget to enclose flower seeds, and the stones of plums, damsons, bullace, pips of the best kind of apples, in the orchard and garden, as apples may be raised here from seed, which will bear very good fruit without being grafted. The latter, however, are finer in size and flavour. I should be grateful for a few nuts from our beautiful old stock nut trees. Dear old trees! How many gambols have we had in their branches when I was light of spirit and as free from care as the squirrels that perched among the topmost boughs above us! Well, you will say, the less that sage matrons talk of such wild tricks as climbing nut trees the better. Fortunately, young ladies are in no temptation here, seeing that nothing but a squirrel or a bear could climb our lofty forest trees. Even a sailor must give it up in despair. I am very desirous of having the seeds of our wild primrose and sweet violet preserved for me. I long to introduce them in our meadows and gardens. Pray let the cottage children collect some. My husband requests a small quantity of lucerne seed, which he seems inclined to think may be cultivated to advantage. CHAPTER X.